So my name is Franco Prinsloo. I'm a composer, and I'm very fortunate to be the composer in residence for the University of Johannesburg residency program. And I'm specifically working on a project of choral music and multilingual use in choral music. So an opportunity like the residency program at the University of Johannesburg is firstly a wonderful opportunity for artists. As an artist, we struggle in this country to get beautiful opportunities like this one, and when the moment arrives, it was just a natural step for me to become part of this and to want to be part of what the University of Johannesburg are doing. I think with the residency program, they're stimulating a lot of creativity in our country. And yes, that stands out for me because we don't get a lot of opportunities like this. So it's wonderful to have the opportunity to express and to create and to be able to experiment freely and through that contribute to new knowledge. So as a composer, it's easy for me to select repertoire for my choir because I write all the repertoire for my choir. And I'm in a very privileged position with the Vox Chamber Choir that I founded in 2017. That I have an instrument to compose for. A lot of composers do not have that privilege, and I'm very happy. The whole story with the Vox Chamber Choir started in 2017 when I said to some of my friends, I don't have opportunity nobody wants to perform my music. And they said, but then get a bunch of your friends and perform your music. And that's what we did. We started with 12 singers, and over the past 8 years, we've developed into a wonderful instrument. We've won many awards. We've featured on soundtracks of television series. So it's been a wonderful journey. And now to have that opportunity again with Voices Plus from the University of Johannesburg Choir, again, to create music for a specific instrument, that gives me absolute joy. We've been fortunate enough with the Vox Chamber Choir and me personally to have received many accolades and awards, and it's humbling because it means that by some institution you are seen. You are not invisible as an artist. Your art has impact. And I was fortunate enough to receive the Arts and Culture Trust Impact Award, and also recently the Medal of Honor from the South African Academy of Science and Art, which I'm also now a member of. And it's absolutely an honor, but it inspires not only me as a composer to continue practicing my art because there's recognition. It also inspires the singers because not only me, I did not receive these awards just by myself. I had my community that enabled me to create things that was eventually then recognized. The Vox Chamber Choir received a SAMA award for our album called Fire Beast. We've received 2 AITSA awards, which is Afrikaans Music Awards. And we've also been nominated for a soundtrack that we did, Donker Bos. We did the soundtrack and we were nominated for a SAFTA for that as well. So that recognition really binds our choral community and also showcases what choral music can do and become in this country. My music have been performed throughout the world, and that is an absolute great honor. The other day, one of my compositions was performed in China. I was commissioned by the Lafayette Church in Washington, D.C. to compose them a cantata. It's called Cantata Ubuntu, and it was specifically a multilingual composition that really tries to show the world a little bit of South Africa. It's in Latin, it's in Xhosa, it's in Afrikaans, it's in, so that combination really makes me excited to share that with the world, because we can sometimes feel alone here on the southern point of Africa. But choral music has the ability to bridge all countries and cultures, because we all sing. We sing when we are mad. We sing when we are sad. We sing when we are happy. And I think that is something of our South African heritage, which we do share with the world. If you see all the choirs competing internationally, our South African choirs are always the top choirs because we are a singing nation. Classical music has the ability to teach us discipline. As a chorister, you have to be disciplined. You have to blend in harmoniously with your fellow singer. Be that fellow singer of the same culture or not, or the same language or not, through experiencing classical music and sharing the idea of creating something truly beautiful as a unit, I think is a strong metaphor for our country. That doesn't matter what culture you are or what language you speak, we are in an ensemble, a choir together to create harmony together. So we have a shared ideal, and that is harmony. And that discipline of classical music and that discipline of choral music is really something that we as South Africans can aspire to and see as a metaphor for the whole country as a whole. I was fortunate enough to work on a very acclaimed and beautiful and haunting series called Donker Bos, Dark Forest. And it's a tale of suffering and the tale of the inequities towards children in this country. And I specifically spoke to the director, and we spoke about choral music and what the emotional impact choral music has. And we decided to make the whole series, which is available on Showmax, the soundtrack only choral music. And there's very little films or series that utilize only choral music, but that haunting quality, the purity and the person, the personality of a voice and voices singing together, I think made a true impact on that series soundtrack. I am inspired by a lot of things as a composer, but one of the biggest things that stand out is poetry. I'm a great lover of poetry, and I'm a lover of South African languages, indigenous languages. I'm a native Afrikaans speaker, and through choir music, I was introduced to a lot of different South African languages. And I think that's the beauty of choral music, that when you sing in a choir, you sing with different people from different cultures. And that enables you as a South African to share with your fellow chorister and learn from them. And specifically in my music, I aim to use this technique of using multiple languages in one choral piece to unite a choir. And by that also looking towards how can choral music contribute to uniting us and to preserve the beauty of the poetry and the beauty of our South African indigenous languages. The poem Isihlahla Sezimanga I discovered in a little tiny book of poetry, and the poem was also available in the original isiZulu and also a translation. And what stands out about this wonderful poem is the metaphor, the single tree, that if somebody neglects that tree, will not grow. But if one person decides to water the tree will grow and flourish, and it will inspire others and eventually give shade to all. And that was what drew me to this wonderful poem. Although I am not a native Zulu speaker, I did always when this is my approach when working with other languages, I do it always in collaboration with a specialist in that language, a poet in that language, so that I can adequately convey that poetry and the specific nuances of the language, because it's not my first language. But I've learned so much through that process. And I think what a wonderful process for a human being to learn through poetry and through collaboration with others to inspire and create something beautiful. For me to navigate working with South African indigenous languages and poetry requires me to be sensitive towards that language and sensitive towards that culture. And I always work in collaboration. I never do a multilingual work alone. Yes, at the end of the day, I'm the composer, but I always consult with specialists, with poets, with people speaking the language, so that I can adequately learn and understand, and also take advice and collaborate with a specialist in that field, because I believe that one of our greatest heritages in this country is our languages. It would be such a terrible thing if we neglect any of the languages in South Africa, because in that languages lies history and lies bravery and lies wonderful things that we can only unlock when we nourish, like in the poem, Isihlahla Sezimanga, to nourish the tree. That tree is our languages, our shared heritage. And we have to nourish it and water it and cherish it, because it is one of the biggest jewels we have as South Africans.